Okay, hi. I would like to introduce Asma Malik from New York University to our students from Southampton High School. Welcome to our first Skype session for 2016. I'm very excited that you were willing to shift everything around to accommodate us.
My pleasure. Happy to do this.
And if Olivia and Will, if you would just introduce yourselves, tell them, tell her like what grade you're in and your name.
Hi, I'm Olivia Bruin, and I'm a junior at Southampton.
Hi, my name's William Taylor Reddy, and I'm a senior here at Southampton.
Okay, great. So I will just give you a brief introduction about myself, and then we'll talk about NYU a little. I'll go over the application process, and if you have any questions after that, I'll be more than happy to take them. Okay?
Okay, great.
Okay, so like Ms. Rodriguez said, my name is Asma Malik. I'm the Senior Assistant Director at NYU. I'm also an NYU alum. I received my master's degree in international education at NYU back in 2009. And I worked for the UN for a little bit. I ended up hating it, and I came into higher ed. So I've worked in law school admissions, financial aid, school of professional studies, our campus in Abu Dhabi, and currently I'm the regional representative for Long Island at NYU. So NYU has 3 degree-granting campuses. Our oldest and largest one is obviously in New York. We are located in downtown Manhattan in the Greenwich Village area, more specifically around Washington Square Park. And then we have a campus in Abu Dhabi, which is located in the United Arab Emirates. If anyone has watched Fast and Furious 7, you exactly know the city I'm talking about. That's where the movie took place. And then our newest campus is located in Shanghai, China. Some of the similarities that these 3 campuses have, they are in urban environments. We like to talk about how our location is in and of the city. We are not none of our campuses have gates. We're not secluded from the city. We're integrated within the city because we really believe that education just doesn't happen in the 4 walls you're in, but it really happens from the community, the location, and the city you're in. So we want students to take advantage of that, regardless of what they're studying. So our campus in New York has 10 different divisions. I would say our largest one is the College of Arts and Science. We have over 160 majors there. But we have a business school, we have a nursing school, a social work school, and then we also have an engineering school, which is 20 minutes away from our downtown campus. It's in downtown Brooklyn. We merged with our Camden School of Engineering back in 2013, but now they're a full-fledged NYU division. It's a very easy way, a very easy commute. We have NYU shuttles set up for our students, so going back and forth between your residential halls and your academic buildings are very, very easy. So in terms of the application process, when students are interested in applying to NYU, they would have to apply through the common application. You can select to be considered for admission at all 3 of our campuses, or just 1, or just 2 of them. And in the application process, we're going to look at a couple of different things. But one term I want to go over is the holistic approach to reading applications. And that means that we just don't look at your GPA and your test scores. There are a lot of different factors that we take into consideration to determine if you're the right type of student for us. So it can be extracurricular activities, letters of recommendation, your essay. So all these different requirements play a factor in that. When it comes to the transcript, that's probably the most important thing for us. We look to see how well you've done in high school. Is there an upward trend in your grades, a downward trend in your grades? Have you challenged yourself? If so, how did you challenge yourself? What did you do in 11th grade? What are you doing in 12th grade? We just don't want to see that you're taking the most rigorous coursework in 11th grade, all of a sudden senior year comes around and you're taking the easiest classes you can possibly take. We want to see that motivation going straight through. We do look at standardized testing, and it's not the end-all, be-all for NYU because we don't have a minimum cutoff. Generally, our admitted students come in a range of close to, we look at critical reading, math, and writing. So they're coming 650 or above, but we have admitted students that come in below that 650 mark for each section because they bring something else to the table. I want everyone to understand that, testing is just, it's one exam that you're going to take for 4 hours at one day of your high school career, right? And, that doesn't give us a clear indication if you're going to make it or break it in college. How well you do in the classroom gives us a better indication because that shows us how you've done over the course of a couple of years. And when it comes to, applications and especially transcripts, I'm not going to pull a kid from Southampton and pull someone from Syosset High School and say, all right, which one's better? Because you can't compare them. The curriculum that's available to you is different. The resources available to you are different. So I'm going to look at how well you've done in the context of your high school. Your guidance counselor always submits a school report. We look at that and determine, all right, did you really take advantage of all the accelerated courses that are available to you? Maybe you're strong in math or science, and that's clearly what you put a lot of emphasis on, and you didn't put a lot of emphasis on English, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone has their own story, and we're just trying to understand that. We are test flexible schools, so you can apply using the SAT or ACT or 3 AP exams or 3 SAT subject tests. The list goes on and on because we believe that there's no one exam out there that can determine if you're going to make it or break it in college. So if students go on our website, they can see the many ways you can apply to NYU, and that gives you the ability to apply with your best foot forward. And I see so many applicants. Sometimes some students, they take the SAT and ACT, they do one's much higher than the other one. And that doesn't say much, it just says that you did well on that exam versus the other one. We look at extracurricular activities. It's important that you are involved outside of the classroom because students that are involved in their high school or their community when they're in high school, they will most likely be involved and contribute a lot to our environment and our community at NYU. And the way I like to describe it, it's quality over quantity. I just don't want to see the pages full of activities. If you've only done those activities for a week, 1 year, that's not going to give us a good indication of your commitment, right? And what you're capable of. But if you've been part of maybe just 3 activities while you've been in high school, but you have leadership roles in them, there's long-term commitment to them, that shows a lot. If you have a part-time job, it could be as simple as like delivering pizzas or whatever, that says a lot because it shows that you're responsible, you go to work on time, you can manage grades and extracurricular activities at the same time. So there are a lot of different characteristics that come through that. We also look at letters of recommendation. We are a research institution that does emphasize group work in all of our courses. So it's not just about getting an A in the class, it's about how well do you work with your peers. Maybe you started off weak in the class, and how did you improve your grades? So we're just trying to get to know you more as an individual. And lastly, we're going to look at your essays. Common App requires you to submit an essay, and then we have an NYU specific essay. I like to emphasize that essays because we do not conduct interviews with our prospective applicants. And I don't have any other way to get to know you on a one-on-one level other than doing a school visit or when you submit your application. So this essay gives us a good indication of your personality, if this is the right place for you, and we always have a very general question. And this year is why NYU, very broad, very open-ended. There's really no wrong way of answering it, but we want your true voice to come through. I read thousands of applications. I can tell a voice of a 40-year-old lawyer versus the voice of a 17-year-old student. I want to hear from that 17-year-old student. If you're not a funny person, please don't try to be funny in this essay. Don't try to take risks. Just be yourself. And don't regurgitate your extracurricular activities onto that essay, because I have a section where I can see your extracurricular activities. Use this time to really have your voice come through. You can talk about anything that attracts you to NYU. Maybe it's the location, the faculty, academic programs, study abroad options, maybe you're not even sure what you want to study, but you see all the great things our alums are doing, and that's what attracts you to NYU, and that's perfectly fine. We want that. We want to see that genuine connection. Okay?
Yes.
So we have a couple of different deadlines. We are an early decision school. That means if you apply early, you do receive a decision early. But if you are admitted, you are bound to attend NYU. The admit rate is not much different between regular decision and early decision. It's about 30%. There's probably a 1% difference between regular decision, which is non-binding. So I encourage students where maybe financial aid is playing a huge role in where they're going to attend to apply regular decision. Because when you apply early decision, you can only apply to one school early decision. So you will only get one financial aid package if you're admitted. You'll never know what other schools are willing to offer you. So you have to take all those things into context. I'm just going to remind you again, it's not easier to apply, early decision versus regular decision. So it's really finding the right type of institution for you and the right fit for you. Okay? Do you have any specific questions I can answer? Will, have you applied already to NYU?
Yes, I did.
I can't hear you. Can you speak a little louder?
Yes, I did apply.
Okay. Did you apply regular decision? I'm assuming that's what you did.
I did
right?
apply regular decision.
Where? Which division are you interested in?
As in like school, like.
Yeah.
The NYU in New York campus.
Okay. And what program?
Business. So I applied to Stern.
Okay, you applied to Stern. Okay, so I probably already read your application, or I'm gonna be reading the application pretty soon.
Yeah. And that was one of my questions. Like, although you do apply to just like one school, say like the main school in New York, they ask like that's where you would like to be like a student there. You can always like, is it possible to spend time? I'm sure there's like to go abroad to like the campus in Dubai or.
Okay, sorry to cut you off, but the service went in and out, so I only got part of the question. Can you repeat it, Kim, please?
Okay, so Will is asking, even though the application process asks students to select the school to which they want to apply, are there opportunities to attend the other campuses, the abroad campuses?
Absolutely. So all of our students, regardless of their major, have the ability to spend at least 2 semesters away. We don't encourage students to do it their freshman year. We want you to really get a good handle on your academics, start off with a strong GPA, have a better understanding of what you want to study, what classes you want to take, and then you can start studying away the second semester of your sophomore year. It's a very simple process. It's just a matter of telling the academic advisor that you're interested in taking these classes at this campus, and it's just depending on availability. It's a very seamless approach. You pay the same tuition, you get the same college credits, it just shows up on your transcript like any other class would, but it would say the location is different. Obviously, the housing is going to be different from New York. New York City is very expensive. If you go to maybe Buenos Aires, the cost of housing is going to be cheaper. So we accommodate for that in your financial aid package. Okay? A lot of students, I would say, majority of our students, about 70% of our students do tend to study away, and they do it pretty much in junior year because you've gotten your core classes done, you started on your major related classes, maybe there are a couple elective classes that you want to take overseas, you can do that. And they sometimes do a mix and match, like one semester they could do Shanghai, the other semester they could go to Paris or London. We have a site in Sydney. We have 13 different sites around the world. So we've covered 6 continents. There's really no desire to have a campus in Antarctica, so I don't think we're going to be doing that anytime soon. But you can find a place that you're going to be interested in, and it's a very, very easy process. I personally studied away in London. I did a 3-week intensive because I was in a graduate program. I couldn't spend an entire semester or a year away, so they said you could only do a summer or winter session. It was a very intense 3-week course, but it was so rewarding. And when I went for my interview for the UN, which I got through NYU, that was one of the things they really focused on. So it does make you more marketable. I encourage students, if you can take advantage of that, to do so. we're in a society where everything is globally interconnected. So if you can make yourself stand out in a pool of students that are coming from similar institutions just because you did have that extra experience outside of your campus, then why not? So, great question. Anything else?
I have a question for you. It's Nathan Jane. I'm a guidance counselor here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
In the past, you've had a general studies program. And my question to you is A, is that still in existence? And B, as a counselor, if I know somebody who I think would be a viable candidate for the general studies program, is that something that we can identify within the application process, or is that something that you guys simply do on your end there?
So we no longer have the general studies program. What we have is called the liberal studies program, and that's pretty much, very similar to what we've had in the past. So it is a 2-year program that, they don't earn an associate's degree. It's just a 2-year program that allows students to take the liberal arts courses their first year and a little bit in their second year. And by their second semester of their sophomore year, they start taking major-related courses, and they would just transition to the other schools or colleges of NYU. So, I would say the most common path is to come from liberal studies and go to the College of Arts and Science, and that's only because it has the most majors. But I've seen students go into our Tisch School of the Arts, Steinhardt School for Education, our nursing school, social work, so there is a very seamless approach to that. Students get priority for those seats. They just have to maintain a certain GPA while they're in college to make sure that they can make the transition. So students can apply to the Liberal Studies Core Program directly. They can list Liberal Studies Core Program for the New York campus directly, or if they have their first choice, let's say, is the College of Arts and Science, but they also want to be considered for the Liberal Studies Core Program, they can put that in as their alternate choice. So if we can't offer them admission to their first choice, we can offer them admission to their alternate choice. The unique aspect of the Liberal Studies Core Program, it allows students to also spend their first year in London, Paris, Florence, or Washington, D.C. So if you're looking for a non-traditional approach to undergraduate education, and this might be a good fit for them. They would take the same classes that students would take in New York. They would just spend their first year away from New York, and then they transition back to New York, and they would complete their degree in whatever division they like. I would say our most popular one is London. We've seen a huge increase in applications for that. I think it's everything that London has to offer in the proximity to the U.S., but it's also the New York City environment is there too. But Washington, D.C. is our newest one, and I think students that have interest in politics or going to law school really find this attractive because they can start on, being in an area where you can get internships that are related to the possible field you're interested in studying. And we have a separate orientation when they come back from our study away, our global sites, to make sure that they're integrated within our community in New York.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Olivia, you have
What are the, do you have athletics or,
Yep.
any type
So we do have 21 varsity teams. We are a Division III school. So, we compete on a level with institutions that have the same priorities as us. So, academics come first, but you're competing with people that are on the same level as you. We generally don't recruit. Some of our coaches will reach out, but if you want to reach out to coaches for a Division III school, it's perfectly acceptable, and you can do that. A lot of our students might apply to NYU, get admitted for a particular program, and then they later find out, oh, there's a basketball team that I think I want to try out for. You can definitely do that. So you can join that at any given time. We do have some intramural sports that students are attracted to, and it's pretty amazing because we have all these global sites around the world and these global campuses. When students are studying away, they're actually participating in sports on the other campuses as well. So it's a really fascinating dynamic there. We have 2 athletic centers that are accessible by all students. So, that piece is always going to be available to you. And, we want a student that's balanced, balanced with academics, professional life, mental health, all those things are very important to us.
I have just two last questions about the liberal studies program. So say you apply to school and then you don't get into your first choice, but you get into the liberal studies program. Once you complete your 1 year abroad somewhere, you can apply, and those students get priority to whatever other school they apply to at NYU.
Yeah, so we have, it's called transfer seats that are available at every division of NYU every year. So it all depends on priority. So first choice always goes to our liberal studies students because, if they came to NYU to get a 4-year degree, right? You're in a 2-year program, you have to finish your degree at NYU. So we're going to make sure that you have a home first at NYU. And then, we have tons of students that come in and they say, oh, I want to study business, and they take a philosophy class, and they're like, no, actually, I want to study philosophy. So they switch their majors, and because NYU our campus in New York is divided into multiple colleges and multiple divisions, it's not a very simple process of just going and switching your major. If you're going to switch your major between different schools, then you have to do an internal transfer process application. It's very simple. You submit your transcript, you submit an essay as to why you want to do the switch. So those students are called internal transfer students, and they get priority. So first it's liberal studies, then internal transfer students, and based on whatever seats are available for transfer students, we will accept students from outside, so from other institutions. I will tell you, some of our divisions get so competitive because we have such few seats, and priority is always for our NYU students first, that those seats get filled up with our NYU students, and we don't actually take any students from other institutions. Okay?
Yes. And I had one more, just a personal question for you. While you were at NYU, how did you like the feel? I mean, being in the city, it's a little bit different than per se campus, but did you really feel that you were kind of comfortable and you really enjoyed it being in the city?
Kim, can you repeat the question?
Sure. His question is about you when you were a student at NYU. What was your experience on the campus, given that it's not a traditional college campus, but it's in the city? Did you feel comfortable? Did you enjoy, was that a positive experience for you? You're also from Long Island?
Yeah. So, I am a native Long Islander. I spent most of my elementary and junior high school education in Queens, so I was very used to being in the city, and then I moved to Long Island, and it's a very different suburban life. And then I did my undergrad at an institution that was also in the city, but it was small. So I went to Hunter College, a very different experience. I would say when I came to NYU, I was a little overwhelmed. There are a lot of students. Well, I was in a program that was only 100 students, coming in every year, but I was on campus with 40,000 students. And, while we have 40,000 students that are traveling around the world, you're not getting to interact with them. I think in the beginning it was a little difficult for me to find the right community for me. So our academic programs and our orientation advisors did an amazing job to make sure that you can find your specialty at NYU. So yeah, you get to make really great connections with the people that are in the classroom with you. But sometimes you wanna venture out. And when you're a graduate student, you're thinking about networking because it's all about where am I going to get a job. So there are a lot of student organizations. We have over 450 organizations, and I was able to join a cultural organization, a professional organization. I joined the yoga club. I joined the 5 Minutes Ab Club, which basically they do abs for 5 minutes and then they eat pizza for So, but it was a great way to get to meet people that were in the business school, that were in the nursing school, and develop friendships and relationships there. So in the beginning, I would definitely say it gets a little overwhelming because you're so used to coming from an environment that's small. What you have at Southampton, maybe compared to other schools, might not be considered small, but compared to an institution like NYU, you're in a very small environment. And I think it's all about what you make of your education. You know, we're not going to hold your hand and tell you, all right, it's time to get an internship. It's time for you to do stuff outside of the classroom. You need to build a resume. But, you know, there's so many wonderful opportunities. It's more about what you make of it. So you have to go out there. You know, while there's guidance, you get an academic advisor, you get a faculty advisor that makes sure they're guiding you in the right way when it comes to what type of classes you should be taking, what type of professional development you should be doing. But, you know, you have to put yourself out there. A great way for me to make friends were actually I went to, it's called Ticket Central at NYU, where you can get discounted Broadway tickets. I'm a huge sports fan. So once they said like, oh, okay, discounted Knicks tickets, I'm like, I'm all over it. At that time, the Knicks were good, you know, we were not having a great. And, you know, it was a great opportunity because you're at these games and like, you know, they tend to put NYU students together. And I'm like, oh, clearly you have similar interests, and then you start talking about yourself. And some of my closest friends actually came with interactions through there. I didn't live on campus, so I can't really speak to that. But you know, I live in Plainview, so I'm definitely much closer to the city than you all are in Southampton. But we have student ambassadors that work in our office that are more than happy to answer any questions related to like the current housing that we have. So, you know, within our housing residential halls, we make sure that we build a strong community there because we don't want you to just be in the classroom and then come, you know, to your dorm and you're basically in your room all day. There are a lot of community service activities they do, a lot of volunteer experience. There's a lot of mentorship that goes on as well, especially on an undergraduate level. You know, when you're a graduate student, they're like, all right, you're 20-something years old, you should already know what to do, you need to have your life together, and you know, it's very different when you're coming in as an undergraduate student. So, you know, there's some pros and cons being at a big school, but at the same time, I think NYU does a really good job of making sure that you're part of a community. Like, have both of you visited campus?
I haven't done an official visit, but I've been there.
Can you speak up a little louder?
I've been there. I haven't done an official visit, like
okay.
Sure, but I've been there.
Okay, but just by being in the area, yeah. I'm sure you can get a sense of, you know, there is a sense of community. Even if we're not gated off from the city, but when you go, you see those NYU flags, you have the students walking around. You know, there's definitely a sense of community there. My sister actually did her undergraduate and just graduated last year from NYU. She's a bio major, she minored in finance and public health. She's in med school at Penn State now. And, you know, in the beginning she was saying, like, it was a little isolating because you were just with these science kids, and you wanted to, like, go out and do so much more. But these student organizations, they do a phenomenal job doing that. If you're into like social activism, we have clubs that do that as well. And you know, it was mentioned before, just sports teams at NYU are a great way to build that relationship.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Olivia has to go. She's an athlete. She's got to go to softball.
Okay.
One last question for you.
Thank you so much.
What would you say, if you can answer this, is the best kept secret about NYU?
Best kept secret. I think I already disclosed it. It's Ticket Central. You get like $7 movie tickets. And you get like $10 Broadway show tickets. So it's like that hidden gem that, you know, we try to make sure that our students are aware of it, because we just don't want you to surround yourself with Greenwich Village things to do only, right? Manhattan is huge. The city is humongous, and there's so much to offer. We want you to explore beyond just Washington Square area. I would say another best kept secret, not so much a secret, but sometimes I feel like undergraduate students, especially freshmen and sophomores, tend to take it for granted, is our career center. It's not just like you go in and there's like 2 people working there. There's an entire team of people that help you with your resume, your cover letter. Like when you're ready to do internships, you're ready to do research, you sit down with them and they will step by step guide you through that process. They hold these mini sessions where they'll teach you how a business meeting over a meal should take place. What are the proper etiquettes? How should you interview? Interviewing for a health services job is very different than interviewing for a business job. Someone that's going into research is going to have a very different approach to how they're going to talk about themselves versus someone else who's, maybe doing a double major in journalism and English. There's so many different major differences between industries, so you get that customized approach. You're not just kind of taking this cookie cutter standard setting, like, all right, these are things you need to know when you go out on an interview. They hold job fairs that are only for specific students that are studying at certain divisions. So every division does their own job fair, but it's, if you are, let's say, you're doing business, but you are studying sports management, you're going to have your own set of employers that are going to come and seek you out. And a lot of these employers are just looking to take students from Columbia and NYU. Those are the major feeders for these major companies. So you're kind of ahead of the curve that way. And I feel like as a freshman and sophomore, you're not really thinking about that. You're just started college. You're not thinking about what do I do after college. We have a really high placement rate. It's 97% of our students are either enrolled in graduate school within 6 months after graduation, or they have a full-time job, which is very high considering our current economic state. While we are on an upward swing, it's tough for especially students just coming out with a bachelor's. And our students do really well in terms of salary and placement, and I think it really has a lot to do with our career center for that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I guess that's it.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It was my pleasure. Good luck, Will, and you'll hear from us in a couple of weeks. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, I'm going to shut the taping off.